So, ladies and gentlemen, Jai Hind, and welcome to episode 2 of Project Sunrise. Today, we are going to talk about something that is a close observation for all of us and with a personal anecdote over here. It is going to be about genuine effectiveness. So, when I say genuine effectiveness, it is speaking on the things that are actually creating impact and that is actually yielding something positive for you. It could be means of an output, it could be by means of some result that is visible. Now, let's decode and have a cross communication on the kind of patterns that we have been trained or we have been seeing right since childhood. Okay, so this is about having more amount of work, being engrossed all the moment, all the 24 hours, being engaged in something or the other, and we quote this as being productive. But the true definition of productivity bears the word impact. Where does it go? Who calculates that? And when do you calculate that? Because if all the time you are engrossed in being, doing something, then when is the time we are reflecting on what has been done? Not everything produces results by itself. As a working professional who is in 30s and who is also, always very enthusiastic about educating people through my means of content education and relating to others, mentoring others. So putting your feet on both the boats becomes a little difficult. But what is precisely that keeps the needle moving? That is going to be a sort of discussion in detail. I wanted to observe and think closely and reflect on those situations and those moments where some person in our own close circle always used to say that, okay, I'm really busy, I'm always busy, I'm really busy. But if you look at the kind of impact that they would have, it could be in terms of the social media or in terms of something that they would be doing, it is quite negligible or it has not been moving over years. There is again a close observation at workplace. We have a person who always would pile up little things into observations and always keep the flow of communications and mails always, like maybe every half an hour, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that, and even replying back to it when some mails are just for an FYI. Not every mail demands a response. Okay, so the crux of the matter here is not that you should be disciplined or indisciplined to not to respond to something that has come to you, but to understand that whether every task that is there in front of you, whether anything and everything that is there in front of you needs attention. And that is where it brings to the topic of genuine effectiveness. Effectiveness is all about you being capable to produce a reasonable output for yourself, and that is giving you a profitable impact either in terms of your ROI for currency by means of earning or by means of some traction or some sort of impact is being created. You are able to see that as a footprint. Navigating through the content space. Now, this is going to be a personal anecdote from my end. Navigating through the content space, it started somewhere in 2020. Earlier, right since 2013, I have been a Quora writer. So my content journey has started in the writing space first as a Quora writer. In 2016 onwards, I have been a blog writer. And then 2020, with the hustle and bustle of media, I stepped into Instagram, and since there I've been into multiple other platforms by newsletter writing and LinkedIn and all. Then I realized over the last days that there is so many things happening. There is content that is going for YouTube as well. I do have a past set of videos that I have published earlier on YouTube. There is a good amount of videos and stories and uploads that are going in the form of carousel, in the form of something that is there as a video in Reels. There is something, I run newsletters, multiple newsletter themes in my LinkedIn, and there is dedicated effort for that as well. And there is something or the other, carousel making in LinkedIn through some presentation form. I just reflected back and I thought that there's so many things happening. But is it really being effective? That's when I stepped back. I had a content plan for everything. I have a dedicated content plan for my Instagram, for my LinkedIn, for so many things. But after this deep reflection, I came across the clarity that if I want to create a particular impact, why not to do it in the style that the corporate does? I mean, the way we do it in the regular workforce. That is when Project Sunrise happened. And this is going to be a set of 100 such modules that is going to be there on various lessons that I want the youth to be, acquainted with from the perspective of a working professional that will add to your personal architecture and personal effectiveness. A set of more than 100 modules, and I have named it with a project. So this project has a start date, has an end date, and has a clear mandate of having the number of videos over the particular week and the topics and everything. So now there is some sort of greater visibility that I am progressing for myself. Okay, but this is the shift when you recalibrate your task, what you have been doing with a clear intent. Give it the name of a project. And let me tell you how it actually works. So over here, if you see that, the kind of projects that we do are actually with an intent that, okay, we have something that we want to start with. We will be achieving this particular objective. And it just goes like that. Whenever we are going for higher education, you are asked that what are the non-profit initiatives that you have taken? What are the different levels of extracurricular impact that you have been able to produce? And then you go for a mom. But you never realize that whatever you have been doing around in the content space, by any means, it could be by means of education, by home decor, by something like that, you have been adding value. You have been creating an impact. And that is precisely what I did. So Project Sunrise was made with this intent that, okay, let me complete this like an education pedagogy, something that would look like a short-term course, but it's there in the YouTube with a start and an end, and absolutely accessible to all. This is what happens when you spend more time with yourself, writing down and calculating that what is the area of impact that has been created. For many people, fitness goals, academic goals, certification goals for working professionals, promotion goals, so many things are there. We have a lot of to-do lists. But do you really need to drive that? That's the question that you should be asking for yourself. As a form of exercise, I would like you to, focus on just three things. Number one, that is clarity. Second is focus. When I say focus, please don't get into the meditative state about having some sort of candle and focusing on that and then practicing focus. No, it doesn't come from that. Focus comes from elimination of noise. What are the noise elements that are there that you need not entertain? It could be a notification or a chat text that is coming to you every now and then, a casual one. Sometimes a text comes in and the attention is required. Let's say a friend or somebody is in distress and they want to talk it out. That is okay. But a seem regular of a chat, something like that may not warrant your attention at that moment. Do you really need to have it? That's a distraction. Third thing is, that's a noise, I would say. Not a distraction, but a noise. Another kind of noise is, entertaining every kind of notification. Putting the phone in the loud mode is also is a distraction and a noise. So identify the elements of noise. If you remove these outliers of noise, automatically the focus comes in. Okay? And that is the beauty about focus. We all think that, okay, we have to do something to build focus. No, you just need to eliminate the noise that is around yourself. Maybe doom scrolling could be another noise. Doom scrolling for 5 minutes by discipline is one. Doom scrolling for endless amount of time is a different thing. So that is one. So first is clarity. You had the clarity that, okay, what needs to be done? So let's say you want to get rich. Now, getting rich, do you want to get rich right now? What can make you get rich right now? Do you want to do something about that? Or you want to do something that gets you rich gradually? So your focus will automatically shift towards building values. Okay, something that you can do for people and attain a value out of that. Third is, after clarity, after focus, is intent. Set the right intent. For me, it has always been about leaving a positive impact on the audience, that they always are empowered. You should not, if I make this video, if I give you some knowledge out of this video, and again, if you're referring to some other, source of information, but for the same topics, then I feel that this purpose would be defeated. And therefore, whatever I have within myself, best is to put this in short span of time to have the best value for the audience, irrespective of what magic it can create. But the intent is the impact. The audience should have an improvement on their personal effectiveness and the architecture. So after this video, you should have some sort of improvement about yourself, at least for a day. If that happens, then my intent was well made. So for you, intent could be at different levels. Could be at your workplace that okay, you would be owning a lot of things around yourself. When I say owning, it could be ownership of tasks, ownership of responsibilities. For mid-senior leaders, it is about ownership of programs, like that. Because everything cannot be about yourself. We need to talk about work. It is said that professional life and personal life has to be different. But I will have a different perspective towards that. Professional life has to be cared equally as along with your personal life, because both are kind of taking care of each other. So you cannot negate something. And these generations, and I'll just give you a single thought, that the more you think that okay, you will just do what you're told to do, there will always be somebody around you who will take the ownership of doing more. And that is precisely what I talk about as improvement in the personal self. After a particular period of time in life, after 5 years of work experience, after 6 years of work experience, it is not about just doing the task. It is about owning the responsibility. You get to own the profit and loss of that particular function. You have to, you get to have a clear vision about the particular flow of the business. Then comes the particular flow of the operative functions that happen within the business. You could be a developer within a company. You could be a developer. You could be a content designer. You could be a graphic designer anyway. But knowing the business impact, the business requirements, and how the business is flowing, and then relating yourself to the functional component who is adding value, brings a different level of confidence. When you speak in that verbatim and that lexicon in front of 10 other people, automatically the level of impact that you're going to create is going to be far more matured as compared to any others. And that is what true professionalism is all about. Okay. And that is why intent has to be at both your professional level as well as your personal level. So when you have these things will automatically fall in place. Please do not focus more on the to-do list. To-do list can be worked upon on a week basis. I have done this experiment with myself. I have set at a given point of time, okay, maybe 3 to 4 years back. Earlier, setting goals on a daily basis used to have a haphazard sort of achievements, going left, going right, going north, going south, misses. There used to be more misses. But when I started setting weekly goals, I was able to achieve 75% of it. Again, when I used to set monthly goals, so then I used to achieve 60% of that. But again, so that is how proficiency was tracked. That okay, this were the areas that was going for a miss. Daily goals going for a miss, monthly goals going for a miss. So let's calibrate on weekly goals. But today I have in a standpoint where I can set quarterly goals. That okay, over the quarter, these are the areas that I can impact. Okay, so that is for both the personal as well as the professional life. So these are the areas I want to, but I decided like that way. It is not on the task, it is on the impact. Okay, I want my viewers to be completely aware on the personal architecture or some sort of project about personal architecture. That's one intent. Second thing, in my LinkedIn space, I write articles around management and strategy consulting. That's something I like within myself as a topic to, engage upon. And of course, pro bono consulting with startups or something, talk to startup founders, figure out what they're going through. If at all I can add value from my decades of experience or something like that, I'll do that. So that's how it is. So LinkedIn space is again about engagement with the founders, engagement with the startups. That is the impact I want to create over there. So have that sort of thing that, okay, I want to create this sort of impact in the next 3 months. Okay. And then work backward at what are the level of tasks this particular impact would require. Okay. So that could have a content calendar or something like that. So that is where genuine effectiveness comes up. So when you go back today, focus on those 3 things that I said: clarity, focus, and intention. Apart from that, focus on the impact that you want to create and then work backwards. That what is the task that you're going to undertake? Ladies and gentlemen, with this, I'll conclude episode 2 of Project Sunrise. Stay tuned for more. Jai Hind.